Welcome to Retro MX Reviews. Today we've got a pretty cool bike out here at DNA. This is the 2001 Kawasaki KX250. For me, this is my friend Rob's bike, and he's been getting it dialed in over time. Like a lot of older bikes, people do weird things, put crazy sprockets on, stuff like that. So he's been getting her sorted, and today I'm going to go out and do some laps on it. For me, this is a kind of a cool bike because I used to race a 99 model, which is very similar, and I also had a 95 model, so pretty familiar with the platform. These were good bikes. Kawasaki in the 90s had really some powerhouse motors, and were just known as good bikes. Nice, fast, stable, not twitchy. The Hondas there were a little bit more twitchy. I always remember loving my 99. I've had a nice, pretty mellow power band for at least for a 250. It was just usable. And also, if you're familiar with motocross history, the 2001 KX250 is the bike that Carmichael used to dethrone McGrath in Supercross, which was a huge accomplishment. And that was his third year in the 250 class, and the first two had been rough years. And well, the first one was really rough. The second was okay, and the third one he turned it around and got that bike dialed in and got his technique dialed into the 250s. But anyway, so it's kind of cool to nerd out a little bit, thinking about this is the bike that RC beat McGrath on, and to me it's really kind of crazy that that's a 20-year-old bike. But we'll do a quick walk around. I'll tell you what I know about the bike, what I've read, and what I remember. And then we'll go out and do some laps and then get some feedback on it. So look, this has Kayaba suspension components. So up in the front, these did not have the closed chamber forks like the Suzuki's ran and the Hondas at this point. I read a review, said that they'd done a lot of brake work on this one. I'm not sure if that's the stock rotor or not. Maybe somebody can help me out in the comments if you know. Something I read as I was researching this bike, it's interesting. Motocross Action strongly recommended the 20-inch front wheel instead of a 21. So that was kind of a phase in development history that came and went and didn't go too far. Kawasaki was not running the case reed, and everything I've read said that this motor really went back very similarly to the 94, which was a great motor. They just kind of kept tweaking it. I believe they added the sensors to the carb, a few different things. To be honest, I ran my 99 for 2 seasons, and I never even did a top end job, and the compression was great. It was not even an issue. Again, rear suspension, KYB. Yeah, I've said this before probably about the bikes of this era. They were pretty standardized. They're sharing brake components, wheel components, a lot of suspension. The motors had their own characters, but even in the case, the motors were even copycats from one brand to another sometimes when somebody was onto something good. Little privateer connection rebuilt on this shock. And then what made the KXs stand out was that perimeter frame. They went to that in, I think, 90, and it was trying to get a little more rigidity, but they still stuck with steel, whereas Honda went to the aluminum frame in 97, which turned out not so great at first. Looks like adjustable high and low speed. Well, of course, by this point it would be. Yeah. So there we go. Like I said, the bike was very similar. You could take a 99 and put plastic on it, or graphics on it, and you wouldn't know the difference between a 99 and an 01. And I believe it changed in 03. They went to a new one, and really, I don't know that it was even a step forward from a lot of things I've read. So let's go out and ride it and see what we remember and see what we think.
I like that bike.
Okay, so back in from a pretty short ride. The track today, that practice track's pretty blown out. I'd love to get this bike on a groom track to where I could really explore it more. But these are just, you know, ride impressions anyway. And what I can tell you, so I had the 99, and I also have ridden a 01 CR250 and a 01 YZ250. I think they all those bikes had FMF systems on them, so probably pretty comparable. But I will tell you, I mean, the CR motor is fantastic, and we know now that that was probably one of the best two-stroke motors ever made, period, even with it being that old. But this is a really good motor, and I think on a track, I think this is a really manageable motor. I mean, keep in mind, I was just on a dusted out track, and the bike, you can just kind of go and dump it, and the power just hooks up, and it's electric. I mean, it sounds mean, it sounds like you're just killing it, but it's just hooking up and going. And a lot of times for me, at my speed level or lack of speed level, however you want to call it, a 250 with a big hit is very tiring, and it's kind of hard to ride because I just can't, manage that hit every time. And also it's a little sketchy, if the track's slick or whatever, it's another thing to think about. This bike, the power band on it is just it just feels very tractable and usable. And it's funny because the magazine, MXA, kind of beat up this bike, saying that the power band is just, too smooth and whatever. But I think in reality, in the hands of normal people, I think that's a good thing. And I think that's part of why four-strokes are so popular, is because the power bands are easy to ride. So, the times have changed so much that something that was, maybe wasn't in style is back in style now. Horsepower-wise, MXA rated this at 42, which is right in with the new 250F, which I find that a little hard to believe too. I feel like it might be, dyno ratings can be up and down depending on the dyno and conditions or whatever, so I don't know. But overall, so motor, I liked it. I really liked that motor. What got me on this bike was the front forks, and I can't really pin that on Kawasaki, because I know that these forks have been revalved, and I don't know what spring rate is in them or what weight person they're set up for or anything like that. So to me, the forks felt harsh. I was getting a lot of feedback. It felt like the front end was just kind of high and not very compliant. So but again, I can't really pin that on the bike. And regardless of that, it felt like it turned well. I wouldn't have any problems getting into turns. I like the stability, and that's something that MXA had talked about. And even in my little experiment here, I'm on a silty, sandy track, and I'm on a 250 two-stroke, giving it the beans, and it's not being sketchy. Like it seemed predictable, and it was just it was just going along. Ergos, again, what's old is new, but you know, at the time, MXA was beating this bike up for being too wide, and it's, you know, it's probably an inch narrower than any of the four strokes we ride now, and definitely at the shrouds and radiators. So to me, older bikes still feel, you know, just fun like that. Overall, I think this would be a really fun bike to, you know, spend some time and effort into doing setup on it, and then just see what you can get out of it. I think, you know, for a track bike, for a casual rider, it's an excellent bike. I think for any type of, you know, postmodern vintage racing or anything like that, I mean, definitely it's a good bike. This bike's capable of, you know, pretty much anything on any track that, you know, if you're going to do it on a new bike, you'd probably do it on this bike too. It wouldn't hold you back, I don't think. I don't think it would hold me back from most things, at least once I got used to the bike. So that's it. Just a short glimpse and not too in depth. We might do a part 2 on this if we ever have a day. We ride together a lot, so if we have a day where it's like a pretty day on a track that's prepped a little more, we might come back and do a part 2 and see if we can get a little better feel for it. And but overall, I mean, yeah, that's a cool bike. So I think if I was in the market looking for an older bike and I saw a 99 to 01 KX250 pop up, I can tell you with confidence that bike has aged pretty darn well. So with that, thanks for watching, and like I said, maybe we'll come back and do a part 2 sometime. Thanks.